The Glock Model 20 Gen 4 10mm, let's check it out. Glock introduced their Model 20 in 1991. It is a 10mm full-size pistol, and it really needs to be full-size because 10mm is pretty stout. In fact, Glock introduced this pistol because the FBI was taking a real serious look at switching from 9mm to 10mm. But after a lot of trials and testing, they decided to go with a 40 caliber. One of the things about the Glock, though, is because of the polymer frame, it reduces the felt recoil. It makes it much more comfortable to shoot. And so with 15+1 of 10mm, this makes an excellent companion for hunting if you're on the trail. Makes a great self-defense firearm as well. And then you've got the power of .357 Magnum with 15 rounds. To be honest with you, I've been waiting on the Gen 5 Glock Model 20, and then I just got impatient and went ahead and bought the Gen 4 from a good friend of mine. And I'm glad I did. Now when you look at a Glock, they're pretty recognizable. Doesn't matter what model it is, they have pretty much the same lines, even the subcompacts. With the Model 20 and the Model 21, which is in 45 ACP. They are the largest frame pistols that they make. Now they do make a long slide version of those as well, and they're just the biggest pistols that Glock makes, and with 10mm, it's the most powerful caliber that Glock offers. First thing let's do is drop our magazine. It's a 15 round magazine, and we're going to check the chamber, and it's empty. This is a polymer frame striker fire pistol. It has a, of course, steel slide. The barrel is a hammer forged barrel, and it has polygonal grooves, which means you really need to shoot ammunition that's jacketed. If you shoot lead bullets in the polygonal grooves, they can build up and they can cause problems. Nice slide serrations here at the rear. Some of the models that are now Gen 5 have slide serrations at the front, but Glock has not introduced that model yet. We have a accessory rail here at the front. We have our magazine release right here, and our slide stop, our takedown levers here. We have our safe action trigger, which means that it is a bladed safety, and so you've got to really mean to hit that little shoe right there, that trigger shoe, to be able to fire the handgun. One thing about Glock is the trigger pull, it's a little bit spongy. Then you have your brake, reset, fairly close. And guys, I've been shooting these triggers forever, and you know, the Gen 5s actually are a little bit better. They're just not known for being really excellent triggers, but I've gotten used to them because, again, I've been shooting these for around 30 years. The texturing on the grip is really nice. They have small little pyramids, and it's not too aggressive, but it gives you a nice confident feel when you grab the firearm. One thing about the Gen 4, which to me is a big plus, is that they've trimmed the back strap down. Now, we're going to compare this to the SF model, but one of the things about the Gen 4 is that it brings it down to the same dimension from here to here as the short frame model. With that, it does come with 4 additional back straps, and so this is with no back strap, and it's the smallest. And then of course you can add medium and large, and then with a beaver tail you can add medium and large. Now, one advantage about the beaver tail is that when you place it on there, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull it off and show you how it fits. You just drive the pin out and you can put it back in, and it'll fit similar to this. Gives you a little bit of lip here at the back, so when you're firing those full house loads, it gives you a little bit more recoil management. And so that is definitely a plus, but it does add to the dimensions right here that make this the short frame length. And if you'll notice, when I get my hand around here, I have a full grip or a full pad of finger right there on the trigger, which really makes it nice. You don't want to be hanging off because it feels like the pistol is just too large. Now these are Polymer sights, and these are the Glock traditional style sights. It has a gold post in the back and a bead at the front. Glock does offer these with night sights as well, and there's a ton of aftermarket sights that you can get. The slide and the pistol in itself is a very trim, slim design, and that's one of the big appeals of Glock. A few years ago I made a video said, Glock, why so popular? And that has a lot to do with it. Glock is very simple. It's very simple to replace parts. It's simple to take care of. And it's one of the biggest appeals of Glock, and you can customize this if you want. It does have finger grooves here at the front, and then of course you have your magazine with the base plate. Right here is a little cavity, and it's made to when, if you need to rip that magazine out, if for some reason it gets stuck and you can't really grab hold of it, this here and the front lip of the magazine are designed to be able to pull this out. Now here's the Model 20 SF. And one of the things again was this was a lot larger back here in the back strap originally. And so this way they trimmed it down so your finger to back strap length is considerably shorter. In fact, it's 1/16 of an inch shorter. So that just gives you a little more shooting ability. It gives you a better feel for the gun. Now the other thing that's a big difference between these two is the magazine release. And you'll notice it's a very small abbreviated magazine release. Here with the Gen 4, you have a fairly large mag release, which can be switched to the other side. With the SF, which is traditionally a Gen 3, you can't switch the magazine release to the other side. In fact, here, a Gen 3 magazine only has one cutout, and so there's no way to make this ambidextrous. But it will take your standard magazines with the ambidextrous cut, and so will the Gen 4. It'll take your standard magazines and it'll take the double magazines. So the big difference here really is your magazine release, and you don't have backstrap options. Practically, that's pretty much it. And of course, with the Gen 4, you have a little bit of a difference here at the front with the recoil spring and guide rod, which make it a little bit different. But overall, the big practical differences are the mag release and no back straps. Now this one does have Talon grips on it, which I put Talon grips on a number of pistols, and I even considered taking these off to show the difference, but honestly there is no difference. Now here I have the medium frame, which is for 9mm and 40 caliber. This is actually a Model 22 Glock, but the 9mm and 40 are the exact same dimensions overall. One thing about the 20 is it's just larger. I mean, the slide is larger, it's thicker. It's definitely, in fact, this is 1.12 inches in width. This is 1 inch in width. Honestly, at the bottom, it's pretty much the same length, but the grip is thicker on the Model 20, whereas on the Model 22 or 17, it's actually thinner and smaller. Your 9mm is smaller. Now with the Model Glock 20, we have the 4.61 inch barrel, whereas with the Model 17 or 22, it's 4.49 inches. But one thing about the medium-sized Glocks is that there is still a 50% parts compatibility between these. Mainly the larger parts are the ones that aren't compatible to interchange, but a lot of the internals will interchange between the two, at least with Gen 3 to Gen 3, Gen 4 to Gen 4. The Glock Model 20 Gen 4, 1 pound, 15 ounces. The Glock Model 22 Gen 3, 1 pound, 9.8 ounces, considerably less weight. Now what are the advantages of 10mm versus 9 or 40 or other calibers? 10mm is a very powerful round. I actually carry this whenever I go hiking or I'm camping out in the outdoors. It's a lot better protection from predators and other bigger, larger game. In fact, a lot of guys hunt with 10mm. And with the 40, Model 40, you have a little bit of a longer barrel, better sight radius, and you have a little better accuracy. And it's also an excellent home defense firearm as well. And they also make a compact version of the Model 20. This is the Model 29. It holds 10+1. I'll check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We just did a review on this one. This is also a Gen 4 and has, of course, just a smaller overall size to it. but it's more concealable. It's just a little bit of a smaller firearm. To be honest with you, when I first got my 29, I thought that the recoil would be considerably more because of the ballistics of the 10mm, and I found out that honestly it's very manageable. Now here are some of your major self-defense calibers, and we have 10mm right here in the center. It compares mainly with your 357 Magnum. This is a 158 grain bullet. It's going 1,220 feet per second. But here we have a 180 grain bullet, and it's going 1,250 feet per second. But there are loads where the 357 excels, there are loads where the 10mm excels. So these two are very comparable, but they both have advantages. One of the biggest, though, to me, is you can go 15 rounds with a 10mm, and then you can have 6 to 7 rounds of 357 Magnum. So to me, that gives the 10mm a little of an advantage, but again, it's according to what you're planning on doing. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. Again, all made in the USA. A lot of power to it. They have one of the largest manufacturing facilities in the US. We also appreciate Lula Loaders. Makes these magazine loads so much easier. Now when you take the Glock 20 out to the range, it definitely has more recoil than most of your semi-automatic firearms. 10mm definitely has a lot more velocity, the bullet weight, you know, compared especially to even the 45, which is slower moving but does have a heavier bullet as well. But there's something about that power with the 10mm. You can just feel the power, and there's a lot of velocity in the round. And so once you master, though, the grip of the firearm and you get a hold of it, it is a very accurate firearm. I mean, there's definitely some muzzle rise when you're shooting it, but that's the advantage, is you have that extra power. And especially if you're carrying this as a sidearm for hunting, you're going camping, hiking, you know, or again, just for self-defense. I mean, it's an excellent gun to be able to take, and it gives you a lot of confidence. Now this is your 40 caliber, 40 Smith & Wesson, and it's actually a baby of the 10mm. In fact, it was shortened down to this length, and they are the same in dimensions as far as width and bullet shape. In fact, in the Glock, you can fire your 40 caliber in your 10mm Glock pistol, not vice versa, but it will fire because it headspaces on the extractor. This gives you a less recoil option with 40 caliber. Now Glock is the only pistol that I would try this in. You need to do your research, but from all understanding, with the Glock Model 20 and 29, you can shoot 40 caliber. We're going to shoot 40 Smith & Wesson. This is truncated and it's 170 grain. A considerable amount less of recoil. Still have that slide mask coming back, but it's a lot less recoil. Yeah, I can understand why competitive shooters get back on target quicker. Now when it comes to disassembly, drop your magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to pull the trigger, pull back on the slide about 1/8 of an inch, and then pull these takedown tabs on either side. And the slide comes right off. Now one thing that's a little different with this one, and again I did buy this from a friend of mine, this is an aftermarket guide rod and is captured. This is out of my Gen 4 29, and it's a little bit longer, but it is that dual guide rod, so when you break it down, that's what you're going to get. Barrel comes right out. Again, this is a cold hammer forged barrel, and it is polygonal lines and grooves, but these barrels just tend to work very well. Of course, your standard Glock. I mean, it's pretty much the same as all, it's just a little larger. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. To reassemble, just drop in your barrel, put in your recoil spring and guide rod. You want to get it on the hood of that barrel, that little section right there, and then we're going to bring it over our slide. Bring it over and you're good to go. And we test for function. Very simple. Now, when it comes to other 10mm pistols, there are a plethora of different guns out there that are 10mm. A lot of companies are making them. For me, I have one of the Springfield Armory Ronins. This is in 10mm. It's 8+1. It is a 1911. This is a beautiful firearm, and it shoots really well. One thing is I like about a 1911 for 10mm is the grip is really thin. I'm used to shooting 1911s, and so for me, this is a very pleasurable gun to shoot even in 10mm. I really like this in 10. One of the big downsides is that I have 8 rounds when I have 15, and I can switch out the magazines for 15 more. And 2, if I'm going out into the woods, I doubt I'm going to take this beauty, but I might. It's going to look good. But then again, we have the Springfield Armory XDM in 10mm. Now, they do make a little bit of a longer version of this, a competitive version. I like this size. One of the things about the XDM that I like over even the Glock is the grip. The grip is very ergonomic. It's a little bit smaller in the hand. It's not as wide. It's not as thick. And so to me, I have a little bit better grip on the XDM. But now, one thing about it, I'm a Glock guy, and I've been shooting Glocks for years, and so this is almost a more natural feel for me. And that's why, guys, it's really important for you not to necessarily take someone's advice on what they think you should buy. These are all 3 excellent handguns. I also have a Rock Island Armory 1911 10mm, and it's an excellent gun. But you have to choose what you're buying one for, what you're going to do with it, and it's all about personal preference. To me, all 3 of these have advantages and disadvantages. But the big thing is, they're all 10, and I love it. And guys, while I have my Model 20 out, here we have an Olight Baldur light laser combination. Fits on there really nice. I did get online and order a Vetter holster. This one actually fits. A lot of the Olights, you can order these differently, but I've heard a lot of good things about Vetter holsters, so I wanted to try them out. And sure enough, it fits right in there. The funny thing is, I actually ordered this holster to fit just the PL Pro, which just doesn't have this laser on the bottom. And so you can go either way with this holster. So guys, the Model 20 is very popular. A lot of it has to do with just the power that it produces out of this size pistol. But it is a larger pistol. So you're going to get really great ballistics, but you're going to have a larger firearm. 15+1 gives you a lot of capacity, and that's great. And really, as far as shootability, these are just really excellent. The accuracy is great. And so it's just a matter of choice. Do you need something that will really be this powerful? For me, need is not part of it. It's just because I like it. But you may need it. So this is a great option. The Glock is just very simple, but yet it's very proven. And so to me, I really like the Model 20, and it is a permanent part of my collection. But honestly, guys, this little Model 29, this is a blast, and it has a lot of capability. So, you know, there are a lot of options out there. And then if you want to go with the Model 40 with the long slide, that just gives you a different set of options. So guys, if you're looking for 10mm and you want that reliability, you want the confidence with the Glock and 15+1, I mean, that is probably one of the biggest things. I think that the Glock Model 20, especially in the Gen 4, is just an excellent choice. There are other choices, and I think this is just one to take a look at. And 2, having the ability to shoot 40 caliber, it makes it really nice, gives you a little less recoil, but for those really magnum loads, those full house 10mm rounds, this is a blast to shoot. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. fact, the magazines only have one cutout. Here is pretty much, very much like we just reviewed the Model 20. We removed it. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Large frame revolver. It's not a revolver. It was originally designed by Jeff Cooper. Of our barrel, and that's not a Gen 4 recoil spring. One of the things about the short frame, this is the Smith & Wesson. No, it's not.
I will. I just want to make sure that I don't forget to turn these off and turn them back on.